So I spent some time doing a lot of research to figure out two things. I think there's two questions here is how much do graphic designers make or can make and how to make more money. And I think the second one is even more important than the first because a lot of us are going, well, can you make a good living as a graphic designer? And I think the short answer is absolutely. So let's do a quick overview of how much do graphic designers make. And I put together this chart and did some research. I went to Indeed.com and Upwork.com and Glassdoor.com, all these like websites where you can find out this generic salary information. I even did research on Facebook groups and asked several of you guys, how much do you make as full-time graphic designers? And I thought that provided a lot of real insight too, because some of these websites like Glassdoor, they give kind of a generic salary. And I really wanted to find out how much do real full-time graphic designers make. And I got some really interesting answers, and I think what's complicated about this is I have people from Australia answering, Canada, the UK, Brazil, and all these have different currencies and cost of living. So if you make $50,000 and you're in the United Kingdom, that might be better than $50,000 in the United States and vice versa. Same thing with Canada and Australia. The Canadian dollar is just not worth as much per dollar than the US dollar. So it's kind of complicated. So just to kind of make it a level playing field, I will be talking in US dollars and in US currency for this video. One of the biggest things to remember is how much experience factors into pay of a graphic designer. The first few years of a graphic designer, just like the first few years of a lot of careers, is not a high-paying salary, and that's to be expected out of this industry. And I'm going to break it down into two different salaries. So an in-house graphic designer, so you're going to be working a part of a large or a medium-sized company that has the money to hire a full-time graphic designer. You're going to be part of the marketing department, or if it's a small enough company, you're probably going to be the marketing department or be a big part of it or work with a marketing coordinator. And then there's freelance graphic design, and you kind of have a lot more freedom here, and it's a lot harder to get started, but you're on your own. You can make your own salary depending on how many clients you get, how much you could charge. It's really, everything is open-ended for freelance graphic designers. So for in-house graphic designer, your income growth is steady and gradual. You get slow raises over the years as your experience gets larger and you continue to do good work for the company. But income is capped at a lower rate, but income is more stable and you have benefits. So you have health insurance, you have retirement. Those benefits are really helpful, especially me as I spent 20 years as a freelance graphic designer without any benefits. And let me tell you, benefits are expensive. So it's good to think about that when you think about the salary. You get a base salary, but you also get other things on top of the salary that are still very valuable. But your income is capped as an in-house graphic designer. You can only really make the average industry. I mean, if you work for a really large company, they're going to go back and continually look at the market rate for a graphic designer and pay you within that range because they don't want to overpay any employee. So big companies, they don't want to spend more than they have to. So your income could be capped a lot here as an in-house graphic designer, but then you also get the stability as the benefit. For freelance graphic design, it is wide open, but the pay at first is incredibly low. You might not make any money for 3 or 4 months as you build a portfolio, as you try to find your first clients. And your first few clients, you may have to charge a lot less than you really want to just to get something in your portfolio or just to get maybe some referrals from other people. And so income is lower in the first few years, but it can go much higher in later years. There's no price ceiling. I was interviewing some people and asking what their salary was as a full-time freelance designer, and there was someone who was making, $60K as an in-house designer, but then they went freelance. They have about 10 years of experience. Now they make $200,000 as a freelance graphic designer doing branding work, which is usually what you'll find those high income freelance designers are usually doing that high level work like branding. So let's break down hourly rates. So in-house graphic designer makes $23 average per hour, and then a freelance graphic designer can make more at $25 an hour. But then again, it scales with experience. It depends on how many years of experience you have, dramatically changes how much you get made. So how do you make more as an in-house graphic designer? We're first going to talk about in-house, then we're going to talk about freelance. So you're working at a company, you have a salary, you might have some benefits. So this is the traditional track of a graphic designer and how you slowly get promoted. The first one is usually a junior graphic designer, especially if you're at a medium to larger size company and they have multiple designers. You're going to be the junior. You're going to be like not the best in the house, but you're just getting started. Maybe you just got out of college. Maybe you're just getting rolling, and the average per year based on Indeed.com was $42,828. So you might be able to pay your bills, but it's going to be tight. So the best way to break out of the income range is to move up that graphic design job ladder. And the next natural thing is senior graphic designer. So you might be managing a junior graphic designer, or you might be the only graphic designer, but you are experienced and you can have that title and a bump in pay. So usually you get back up into the 60s. Of course, this is all US dollars, and all that changes when you start to explore other countries and other currencies. And then the next move up is art director. So this means you definitely have some other creatives that you're managing, and you might be managing more than just graphic designers. So this starts to break a little bit out of the traditional graphic design job title, and you might be an art director that needs to also direct maybe some ads that are video based, or maybe some social media campaigns. You're going to move a little bit beyond just doing logos and flyers and billboards. And then lastly, if you're part of an ad agency, a larger agency or a larger company, they're going to have a creative director, and they're going to manage multiple projects at one time. They're going to manage everything that is considered advertising or marketing that has a creative flow to it. So videos, print ads, magazine ads, all this kind of stuff, even events and conferences, doing some of the branding work for that too. So that's $98,077. That's not bad. That's almost six figures, and that's an average. Averages tend to be lower. You have people that make more than 98. You have people that make lower than 98. This is a very traditional route. And if you are looking for stability, this is a nice route to get a part of. The larger the company, the more possibility you have to move up that ladder. Okay, so this is great to find out what is the traditional hierarchy and movement of the graphic design promotion ladder. But how do I move higher in this graphic design chain? That's the real question here. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to move through this design job ladder with ease. Each evolution brings more and more collaboration and less time working on your own. Being a good manager of people and reining in their best talents and expectations is paramount to move through this ladder. So as a junior graphic designer, you don't make a lot of money, but some of the things that you could do to be really good at your job and maybe get some raises is complete tasks given by your team manager. So just get everything done and do a good job at it. So that's pretty simple. The next one is beat deadlines. So, okay, I need this by tomorrow. You get that project in by tomorrow, and maybe even earlier if you can. Don't stress yourself out, but just showing that, hey, I can complete tasks on time. So you could tell the expectations are a lot lower with this, but they will get dramatically higher. Create work that goes beyond expectations. So even though you're a junior graphic designer, do senior graphic designer work. You have to do the level of work of the next job up to prove that you're ready. So you might not be ready that first year, but that second or third year as a junior graphic designer, work your butt off and do some amazing work. And then hopefully your talents will be realized. And when it comes up to maybe a possible promotion, you can get that senior graphic designer title. So as a senior graphic designer, you make more money, but of course with each one of these raises, you're going to get a lot more expectations on you. So you're going to gain larger project experience. So you're going to move beyond just doing a social media ad or doing a billboard or doing event signage perhaps, or a label for a product. You're going to go a little bit beyond that. And so that might be more digital projects. Maybe you're managing something with the website, the front end part, working with a front end developer to kind of help with graphics for a website. Perhaps you're doing a product design and you're part of really designing the entire package of a product design. These are all this next level senior graphic designer stuff. So you're going to be able to you need to manage long-term projects and meet deadlines. So you're going to need to manage longer, bigger, larger projects. They're not going to be something you do in a day. It's going to be these could be month-long projects. You're going to take initiative to bring up ideas for overall project direction. So you are going to say, hey, I have some ideas and I want to be heard. It's not like I'm just receiving the ideas and I'm doing exactly what you tell me to. This is taking that initiative to say, I have an idea. this is how we could do it better, because I have a couple years of experience and I know how this works. I know it's going to resonate with the target audience. I know it's going to really sell things better. And also complete a wider array of project types. Oh, I already did that one. So what's next? Starting to make the big bucks as an art director. Well, you're going to have a lot more responsibility. You're going to have to manage multiple creatives in a team. So you're going to manage somebody as an art director. There's never just, oh, you're an art director and you handle everything. Well, you'll just be a senior graphic designer. An art director needs to be able to manage a team of people, and that's going to take some experience and some time to get used to that. You're going to have to be able to maximize the talent of your creative team. You're going to have to be able to motivate them, encourage them, really find out what their talents are and maximize those talents. And you're going to have to be very intuitive with finding out and getting to know your team, how to do that. Then you can create projects that make clients exceed their goals with real world results to back it up. So you are exceeding all expectations, but then you also have proof to back it up. Okay, this project, the YouTube video we did, or whatever project that you managed, you can track it and say, okay, we increased sales by 200%. And having that data point is really important when you want to go to that next level and get those raises and go up to the last part of this job ladder, is being able to do that. But also have quantifiable proof that you are doing some great work in making the company money and selling products, or connecting and selling services. So what's last on this job chain ladder, the creative director? This is the big one. People spend about 10 to 15 years trying to get this position at ad agencies, either ad agencies or larger companies, which are going to be the only ones that can employ a creative director because they're expensive, right? So you're starting to get that 6-figure range. They're going to expect the world out of you. And it's going to take a long time to try to get here. So this isn't something you're going to do in 2 years. This is a decade or more of work to work toward this part of the career. So at this point, you're managing multiple large-scale projects at one time with ease. So you're going to have a team doing this. You're going to have a team doing that. You're going to have a team doing this. And you're going to have to manage all of them simultaneously. You're never just going to have one thing. There's never just one branding project you're doing. You're going to be working with 3 or 4 other clients at the same time and managing separate teams too. So you're not just managing a team, you're managing multiple teams on multiple projects. So anyway, you're kind of like a project manager for creatives. Another thing is you need to be good at managing difficult creative conflicts in a project. So there's going to be a lot of creative conflicts. I have an idea and this other person has an idea. They're both great ideas and they need somebody to be able to say, all right, we're going to choose this one. You're the one that makes all the final decisions and passes those decisions down the line to execute a project. So you're going to be needing to make those leadership, creative decisions to say, all right, Johnson, it's your idea, you won, that kind of thing. Need to manage projects alongside non-creatives to increase client satisfaction. So when you're at the creative director level, you might be directly communicating or having meetings with clients. And clients are non-creative people, and they're going to have goals and ideas. And you're going to have to take those goals and ideas and add that creativity with your team and make those goals happen. So you're kind of combining the creativity side, you're combining the business side, and you have a lot more relationships with non-creatives that you're going to have to utilize to complete your projects. You might be working with highly technical people, maybe coders, a part of a website. Maybe they're not the creative side of people, but you're going to need to be able to work with them to get those creative goals completed.